Hi, beautiful. Welcome back. Over the next few weeks, you're going to learn 12 exercises to help improve your lunge. This is part 2. So if you haven't seen part 1 yet, I highly recommend you go back and do that first because they do build off one another. Today, you're going to be learning 3 more exercises focused on strength and mobility. The lunge is one of the most important functional movements that you want to master. It's incorporated in your everyday life. Think about every time you get up, you get down, anytime you want to slow your body down or change directions, even pushing and pulling all involve the functional movement of the lunge. So not only is it a great way to strengthen your lower body, improve your balance, coordination, and posture, it's also vital for reducing the risk of injuries to your knees and ankles. Oh my goodness, so much good stuff wrapped up in that one functional movement. So for today's workout, you're gonna want a roller, a dowel, and a pillow. We're gonna start with the exercises that we did last week and build from there. So let's get to it. We're gonna start with the foam roller. You're gonna be rolling out your quads, mainly where your quads attach to your iliotibial band. You're gonna roll out your right leg first. You wanna start right at the top of the hip, like where your pocket would be in your pants. And you're gonna gently roll forward and backward there just a couple of times. And then you're gonna begin to roll down the thigh. Just a little bit at a time, rocking back and forth as you roll, taking it nice and slow. You wanna roll from the top down to the knee, but obviously you don't wanna roll directly on your knee. You may notice little speed bumps as you roll back and forth. That's normal. You may notice some areas feeling tighter than others. That's fine. You can always roll out a little bit more in the area that feels tighter. You want to roll as slowly as you can so that you can get deeper into the muscle. If it seems really painful for you, it's possible that you're using a roller that's too dense. You don't want it to hurt so much that you won't do this, right? So you can always purchase a softer roller, which will make it much more manageable. When you're done rolling out the right side, you're going to go ahead and switch and roll out your left. Again, starting at the top by the greater trochanter, where you would have a pocket in your pants, rolling back and forth there a couple of times, and then start to roll down the side of your leg. When you notice a spot that feels tight, you want to stop and roll back and forth on it, noticing those speed bumps, rolling as slowly as you can, all the way down to the knee. Of course, don't roll on the knee. Again, you want to try to roll as slowly as possible so that you can get deeper into the muscle. It will be more effective. And when you're done, you can come up to sitting and you may even notice the difference right away. Next, you're going to go into an ankle mobility exercise. This is where you're going to want your dowel. You're going to place your left foot in front in a nice narrow stance, right leg behind. You want to make sure that your right foot is in line with the back of your hip. You want to align the dowel with your 4th toe, really anchoring down into your left foot. You're going to drive your left knee forward as far as you can, just to the point where you feel your left heel wanting to come up off the mat. And then you'll come back to your starting position. You want to make sure that you keep your body nice and upright as you do this. You want to do as many reps as you need until you feel an increased range of motion in your ankle. And when you're ready, you can switch sides. You're going to place your right leg in front, left leg behind, making sure that your left foot is lined up with the back of your hip. You want a nice narrow stance, but you do want to be able to stay upright in the body. Anchoring the dowel in line with your fourth toe, driving your knee forward on the outside of the dowel, going as far as you can, right to the point where you feel the heel wanting to lift up off the mat and then come back to home base. You want to do it as many times as you need until you feel that increased range of motion. You may feel a stretch in the low calf right by the Achilles tendon. That's normal, it's good. Increasing that range of motion, yeah? After you've done the amount needed to increase your range of motion, you're done. Nice work. Next, you're gonna go into the bridge. You're gonna lay down on your back, knees bent, feet flat, hands down at your side. You wanna start by engaging deep in the abs, hollowing out the belly, going into a coccyx curl, imprinting your lower back onto the mat. And then you wanna peel one vertebra at a time off the mat as you go up into the bridge, opening up the front of your hips, feeling your glutes engage as you anchor down into both feet as evenly as possible. At the top of the bridge, making sure that you're feeling your glutes more than your hamstrings. That's very important. And then on your next exhale, you want to come down one vertebra at a time, keeping the back of your neck long, your shoulders open, hollowing out the belly, finding that coccyx curl again before coming back into home base position. And then you're going to repeat that. And you want to do as many bridges as you need until you feel that your glutes are really fired up and working well, and that your hamstrings are working synergistically with the glutes, but your glutes are the dominant muscle. You want to feel how all of that comes together. So again, do as many bridges as you need until you feel like your glutes and hamstrings are working optimally together. It may be different for each of us, and that's fine. Do what's best for your body. And once you feel like your glutes and hamstrings are working synergistically together, you're gonna go ahead and add in the knee fold. Standing on your right leg first, you wanna do up to 30 knee folds for each side. I've broken it down into 2 sets of 15, but you can break it down in a way that's best for you. I've also chosen to come down after doing each side to give my body a rest, to reset, to make sure that I'm keeping really good form. I recommend that. It's a really nice way to set yourself up for success. As you're doing the bridge with knee fold, you really want to anchor down into that standing leg, trying to open up that standing leg hip, really feel that glute turn on and engage. You want to feel that glute working more than your hamstring. You can always play with how high your bridge is. The higher it is, the harder it is for your glute, so you can decide for yourself what works best. You want to try to keep your pelvis nice and stable, so you got to use your abs as well, using your exhale to engage navel to spine. You should definitely feel that burn of the booty. After you've done your reps, go ahead, come down one vertebra at a time. Next, you're going to go into single leg bridge with pulses. Begin by engaging in your abs, hollowing out your belly, going into the coccyx curl, trying to peel one vertebra at a time off the mat as you anchor down into your right foot. Only bridge up as high as you can, feeling your glute working more than your hamstring. Once at the top, you're going to go into the pulses. You want to do up to 30 pulses. I have broken it down into 2 sets of 15, but you can break it down as is best for your body. After you've done the amount of reps you want to on the right side, go ahead, come down one vertebra at a time. Starting with the coccyx curl, hollowing out the belly, imprinting your lower back into the mat, bridging up one vertebra at a time as you anchor down into your left foot, pushing up through the left hip, really feeling your glute engage. With each pulse, you want to feel like you're extending the front of your hip. Try to keep your pelvis as stable as possible and make sure that you're not pushing up through your upper back. The back of your ribs and shoulders should feel nice and anchored on the mat. After you've done your reps, go ahead, come down one vertebra at a time. Starting with the coccyx curl, hollowing out the belly, imprinting your lower back into the mat, bridging up one vertebra at a time. If you start to feel your hamstring working more than your glute, you want to stop and rest. When you're done, coming down one vertebra at a time, getting deep into the abs, coming all the way back down into neutral. Starting with the coccyx curl, hollowing out the belly, imprinting your lower back into the mat, bridging up one vertebra at a time. Adding in the pulses. Each pulse, engage from the glute. You're working on that hip extension. You're gonna feel that booty burn for sure. Feeling the booty working more than the hamstring. When you're done with your reps, coming back down one vertebra at a time. And after you've done 30 reps for each side, you can go ahead and stretch out your glutes. You're gonna cross your right leg over the left, pulling into your chest, shifting your knees over to the left a little bit until you feel that stretch get into your right glute. You wanna be here for at least 30 seconds, really giving an opportunity for your muscles to release into the stretch and recoup some of their range of motion. Stay in the stretch as long as you need, and when you're ready, go ahead and switch sides. Crossing the left leg over the right, pulling into the chest, shifting your knees over to the right a little bit, feeling that stretch go into your left glute. With each exhale, just gently trying to hug your thighs in closer to your chest. Please be here for at least 30 seconds, giving your muscles an opportunity to release. Tight glutes can lock up your hips, which then can lock up your lower back. I don't think you want that, so it's good to take a moment to stretch out the glutes. And then next, you're going to go into side leg bicycle. You may want a pillow to support your head. You're going to lay down on your left side, checking that your head is in alignment with your shoulders and your pelvis. You want to make sure you're engaged in your abs, creating as much space between your waistline and the mat as possible. You're going to bring the top leg up, flex the foot, bring it front as far as you can, working your hip flexion, feeling that stretch in your hamstring. Bending the knee, extending the leg back behind you, really lifting in the abs, opening up that right hip, feeling that right glute really fire up. Come through home base position and repeat. You want to do up to 15 times in this direction. Really working your full range of motion. You want your pelvis to stay as still as possible. And watch that your spine is not rotating back and forth. You're really trying just to move the leg in the hip, working on increasing the mobility of your hip and the flexibility of your muscles. After you've done your 15 in that direction, you're going to reverse it. You're going to bring that leg up and you're going to bring it back first. And then you're going to bend the knee, bicycle through to the front, and then extend that leg back behind you and repeat. You're going to really feel that booty burn if you're tapping into the exercise correctly. You may also feel like your leg starts to feel heavier as you're moving through the exercise, and that's normal. Definitely working that outer thigh and glute. Remember to keep your abs active. Keep that space in between your waistline and the mat. You want to keep your pelvis still, your spine stable. You're trying just to move the leg and the hip, right? It should feel pretty challenging as you're doing higher reps. Definitely getting that booty burn, right? And then after you've done your 15, go ahead and rest and then switch sides. Laying down on your right side, making sure your head is in line with your shoulders and your pelvis. Extending your top leg out. You can keep the bottom leg bent if you want, or you can extend them both out straight. Anchoring down into that bottom foot, picking up the top leg, flexing to the front, bending the knee, pointing the foot, extending the leg back behind you, and repeating that. Doing 15 reps in this direction. You want to work your full range of motion, really finding the flexion of the hip and the extension of the hip. Use your abs, creating that space between your waistline and the mat. Keeping your pelvis nice and stable, watching that your spine isn't rotating back and forth. After you've done your 15 reps, you'll go ahead and switch sides. So when you're ready, bringing that leg back first, feeling that glute fire up, opening up that left hip, bending the knee, finding the hip flexion, flexing your foot, feeling that hamstring stretch, and repeating. Moving with your breath, feeling that booty burn, keeping your pelvis stable, keeping your spine still, staying engaged in the abs, really working the mobility of the hip, the flexibility of the muscles. Your leg may start to feel heavy, definitely getting tired, feeling that burn. That's all good. Really working the outer thigh and the glute. You're definitely gonna feel it. You're gonna feel that burn. And then when you're done with your reps, you can go ahead and rest. Nicely done. From there, you're going to go into the pigeon pose stretch. You're going to place your pillow under your left hip. You want to bend your left knee. You want to have your left knee on the outside of your left shoulder. You want to try to have your shin as parallel to the edge of your mat as possible. You're going to lengthen your right leg back behind you, foot flat on the mat. You want to try to be as nice and aligned in your spine as possible. And then you're going to come forward and you're going to feel that stretch in the back of your left hip. It should feel like a pretty good stretch. And you want to be here for a minimum of 30 seconds. You really want to give an opportunity for your muscles to release. See if you can soften your face and your jaw and your neck while you're in this stretch. Breathing into the areas that feel tight. And at your own pace, you can gently come out of the stretch and switch sides. Switching sides, placing the pillow under your right hip, bending that right knee. You want your knee on the outside of your right shoulder, lengthening the left leg out back behind you, foot flat, lining your spine up as best as possible. And then coming forward, feeling that stretch get into your right glute and hip. Staying here for a minimum of 30 seconds. See if you can relax your face, your jaw, and your neck. Gently trying to get deeper into the stretch, letting your upper body feel heavier and heavier with each exhale. And then at your own time, go ahead and come out of it. Nicely done. All right, you did it. Nice work adding on those 3 new exercises. It's great. So far, you've got a good balance between working the flexibility, the mobility, and strength of your lower body, all of which is needed in order for you to perform a healthy lunge. Remember, you want to modify any exercises needed to suit your body's needs. And this is not a competition. Do the quantity that feels right for you. You can always build up to the 30 reps if you're not ready to do it today. What matters most is that you honor where your body is at. Think more about the form than the quantity. This way, you can reduce your risk of injury. I suggest doing this routine 4 times a week while you're mastering the flexibility, mobility, and strength of each movement. If you have any questions, requests, or suggestions, you can leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. I'm so happy that you're here taking time for yourself, learning to move well. I love it. And I look forward to seeing you next time when we add on 3 more exercises. Until then, have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now. Special shout out to my Vital 7 stars. Thank you for making this video possible.